Yo, what's up, guys? Alex here from Elite Football Conditioning, and today, I hope you are fit and well, but today this is a video specifically for those of you who may be struggling with an injury. You may have either picked up an injury towards the end of your season, or it could be any point. It could be off-season, pre-season, and this is just to help you through dealing with that injury. I've been there myself. I'm sure most people who play competitive sport and have done for a good number of years will have encountered some form of, let's call it, physical disruption. It could even be mental, could even be a bang to the old noggin, but ultimately we have to come through it one way or another, either whether we're better for it or whether we continue to struggle. There has to be another side to the injury. So this is basically to help you through those key emotional phases, how to structure it, mentally frame it in your own head so that you can come back better than you were before, because that's what I want you to see this as an opportunity for. No matter how bad, how severe your injury is, what has happened to you, I want you to see it as an opportunity for you to grow, develop as a person, as an athlete. And again, one of the things that will help with that will be perspective. So yes, your injury is bad, and I realize this might be something that you really don't want to hear, but there are people out there that have it far, far worse. For instance, I was quite fortunate, really. I was blessed that when I came around from my operation, from my leg injury, I immediately looked into the bed to the right of me, and there was a chap there who's holding up sort of like what's left of his leg, really. So he'd had his lower leg amputated. The worst fears I'd had about my injury were having like the X-frame, the cage fitted to the outside of it, which I would have found very, very obstructive, and I was dreading it. Didn't know what I'd had done. I had a look in the bed next to me, and I just thought, I don't care anymore. I've still got my leg, and I know I'll be back playing sport. So understand that, yep, it's bad. I know it sucks. You need to admit that, but it can be worse. It could be worse. And what we're here to do now is help step it forwards and improve it every step of the way. So the first thing I want you to get right is you feel like you've lost your superpowers. All right, you are what you do as an athlete, as a footballer, as a competitive sports person is superhuman. It is beyond the norm. You are not average by any stretch. And if you are currently injured, you have had your physical capabilities severely impeded to the point where you cannot do what you either want to do, used to do, or need to do as an athlete. Okay? So you've been whacked with a bit of kryptonite. You are Superman. You're down, you're out, you're injured temporarily, and you feel bad. You feel very negative towards the entire situation in the first instance. So that's absolutely fine. Because you've lost your superpowers, you are essentially in a grieving process. So what we need to do is overcome those different stages, and I will explain how we do that. But first I'll go into what the stages are. So number one, again, if you have a look, you can find these essentially as the stages of grief. Whether you think there's 5 or 7, it's completely up to you. And I will add, I'm not a psychologist. I do understand quite a lot about it because it's what I read. I study it a lot. I enjoy it as a topic and as a subject, and it's helped me. So don't look at me for athlete psychology. Go and see a professional if you need professional help in that area. But this is kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So number one, denial. All right, this is a stage where you will make things worse. This is you telling yourself there's nothing wrong. This is you might have a slight tweak, a slight niggle, a slight strain. It could be a bit of a knock, and you're going, I'm all right, I'm going to keep playing. And you don't tell your physio, you don't tell your coach. All of a sudden, they start to wonder why you're underperforming. You start to get stressed out because you can't do what you used to be able to do, and you make the situation worse. Denial, number one. Number two, bargaining. You know there's a problem. You're trying to reason with yourself what you can and can't do. You're trying to reason with the physio who's probably telling you to rest it, take a game off, take a session out where you're not on the pitch and you might be in the treatment room or you might be in the gym. You don't want to do that, so you start making deals. Oh, what if I just go and do this? What if I just do this instead? Again, go back to denial. Number one, you'll make it worse. Okay? Take the professional help when it comes to you. Don't argue with it. Go with it. All right? Number three, depression. You know there's an injury. You've kind of got your head around, all right, well, I'm not going to bargain. I'm not in denial. And you end up wallowing in self-pity. You end up bathing in your own tub of misery. All right, you're sat in the gym, you might be pedaling along on the bike rather unenthusiastically, or maybe even sitting at home because you can't be at training, you can't be around the squad, you can't be around your teammates. And depression, let's just be honest, this is no good for anybody. It's not good for you, it's not good for your family, it's not good for your teammates, it's not good for your friends, it's not good for your work colleagues, anybody around you. It's not good for your pet, your own dog, your cat. You know, they'll bugger off, they'll leave you as well. That depressive phase, that depressive stage, if you can recognize that, go and speak to people, get out of that loop as quickly as you can. Because once we've got through those three, and if we can recognize those three fairly quickly, we come into the next two, which I kind of term this next one as a bridging moment, or a potentially very, very useful or very, very destructive emotion. And this one is anger. All right. Now, this depends on how you use it. Like I said, you can become very destructive, where you beat yourself up, you start punishing yourself, you start destroying things, breaking things, developing bad habits, negative habits. And these will generally be a negative side effect of not doing some of the steps that I'm going to mention later on, which you need to do to be able to push through to that next level and make it that channeled anger, develop it into channeled aggression to move yourself forward. Like, harness all that irritation, frustration, everything that's bubbling away, and put it to use. Because at least the one thing about anger is comparison to denial and bargaining, you make it worse. Depression, there's just no energy. You're flat, you're gone. Anger, at least you are in an energetic state where you can put it to use. You've got something to work with. You're essentially a kettle that's boiled, you're bubbling away, you're ready to go. Whether you're going to make a cup of tea or burn someone is up to you. I've come up with that on the spot there. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, we want to channel that anger. And then once we do that, once we've kind of worked through that, we've kind of put everything together in our head, we can get to the level of acceptance, which is just simply go mode. That is all your ducks in a row. You understand what's going on. You flip that switch and you're off. Now, it's worth saying that because you will have different stages to your injury, you'll have different stages to your recovery. You'll go through the immediate kind of shock and awe phase of, oh my God, what's just happened? Like, I feel like I've been shot in the leg, or like, you know, you've had a really bad tackle and you're trying to process it. You go through that, then you'll have the few early days of like pain and like, oh, just getting used to it. Then you'll go through a couple of weeks of either early phase treatment and things either progressing fairly quickly or things moving on quickly, whether it's surgeries or getting lots of rehab sessions in and seeing little bits of progress, to the point where you're then in the later phases where progress comes far more slowly. It takes a lot more time, and the little milestones and the hurdles that you hit are far less obvious to you. That can be a very frustrating point. So because of all those different phases of your injury before you eventually get back to full recovery and back into full speed running, training, contact work, you can go in, those stages of grief are in flux all the time because they're simply emotions. They're going to come to you and hit you at any moment. So what you need to do is recognize them, process them, and then move on and get back to acceptance go mode, even that constructive, productive anger as soon as you can. Okay? So, to overcome those different stages and get out of them as quickly as you can, I've come up with 3 key things here, and these are 3 things that I found helped me the most when it came to dealing with my injury, which was, it was about 8 days in hospital waiting for the operation. Leg just completely swelled up like a balloon, which basically meant if they cut me open, they couldn't close it, and they didn't want to do that. So I was in hospital for about 8 days. Then they did the surgery, and then I was completely non-weight bearing for about 4 weeks. Fortunately, the World Cup was on. After that, it meant that I could kind of get back to work a little bit. I could be a bit more mobile. Still couldn't drive, still had a cast on. Ultimately, complete and utter total disruption of my life, my business, everything about me, my even independence, even being able to cook my own food, live on my own, carry it into the living room. Like, everything changed. I was completely dependent on family and people around me to look after me, which is very, very tough to accept. But again, what are your choices? So 3 key things that I've used to overcome that. Number 1, learn about the injury. Easy for me. I enjoy it. Very good topics. Understanding and studying the nature of what you've had, or the injury you have, to understand the treatment process. Once you've had that treatment, like the necessary phases of rehabilitation, who can you go and speak to? Do you speak to a physio? Do you speak to a strength and conditioning coach? Where do you go next? And understanding the types of things that are going to be placed upon you in terms of demands, either physiologically using your body or mentally in your own mind, understanding what's going to be needed of you at any point of the injury, and just knowing sort of like the structures of, like, let's say if it was your ankle, understanding the structures of the joints, how the ligaments interact, how the musculature of it works in terms of stabilizing it. All of those things I found very, very useful, because I understood my rehab to another level. Like, if the physio said, right, I want you to do this, in my head it went bang, right, okay, I get that, I know why I'm doing that. And the easier it is to put all that into context, the quicker you get back into acceptance and you hit go mode again. Next one, rehab routine. All right. And this can either be rehabilitation routine in terms of your day-to-day exercises. It could be in terms of taking supplements. It could be in terms of simply a day-to-day stuff of getting out of bed, going and doing the simple things to function as a human. Okay, eat the right foods, drink, hydrate, stay on top of everything you need to do for quality health in the first place. Sleep being a crucial one. So structure all of that. Now, as with anything, any expert that I've ever heard speak about routine, I always think, well, it's all well and good, but well, how? Like, how are we even going to get there in the first place? Because it can be incredibly frustrating. Like, most of the time, you simply get told, well, just be in a routine. And you go, okay, I understand that. I understand what a routine is. I understand how it works. I understand why. But how do I actually get there? All right. What I want you to do, or not say what I want you to do, what you could try is what works for me. And again, I'm talking about you're going from acceptance. You're not quite in go mode. You're still figuring it out. Get angry, get frustrated. Use this as a fuel to either get you out of bed in the morning, get studying and reading your book, read about your injury, learn about your rehab, doing your rehab in the first place. Like, a lot of people can just kind of chin it off and palm it off and go, oh, I'll just do it later. Get frustrated, get irritated, get angry with it, get nailed on with your sleep. Use that as a productive emotion to actually change what you're doing at the moment and get into those good habits straight away. Okay? Use it to join the dark side. All right? Now, I will come back to that later in the video. That is going to be that's going to be the note I want to sign off on for you with today. Now, Once you've understood your injury, you started your rehab, you've got into a routine with that, the next level to it, and another tool you can actually use to help get you into that rehab routine, visualize the way back. Visualize your next performance. When is it going to be? See it, set that date, see yourself playing, feel yourself playing. Go through your game day routine, mentally put it into context in your own, in your head. Get it nailed on. This is what I'm doing at this point of the year or this point of the season. This is how I'm going to perform. See yourself back at that superhero state where you are doing everything you were doing before, but even better. Because I told you at the very start of this video, your injury is an opportunity for you to come back even stronger, faster, better than before. That's how we're going to work it. Okay, so visualize your comeback. Put all your senses into that comeback, into that emotion, into that visualization, and roll with that. Okay, spend time looking over it, picture it, meditate on it, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, maybe even longer than that, because this is one of those things that you have an abundance of time to do, especially if you're completely incapacitated. If your leg is not functioning as a leg temporarily, that's what you can do. All right, that's what you have loads of time for. So use that as a way to get back and mentally engage in the process of your recovery. Breathe. Now, the dark side. If you're a fan of Star Wars, which I am, all right, I'm going to tell you now, and this could be quite controversial, but Chancellor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, he has it right. Okay, if you think about it, I think, what is it he says? I got this quote from one of my coaches earlier this week, actually. But the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Now, if you want to be next level, you want to be different, you want to break the mold, be set above the class, you need that switch, you need that dark side. And I will give you some examples of people who have that. But first off, think about it. Darth Sidious or Chancellor Palpatine, to kill him off, the entire universe had to unite twice to get rid of him. So if you want to be like, I'm just playing in my own head here now. I'm just in my own little playground of weird little thoughts. But if you want to be a set above, like a different level, you have to embrace that side of things. You, like Jose Mourinho spoken about it. If you watch the documentary about Tottenham Hotspur's All or Nothing, he wants nasty people. He wants nasty people in there. He wants killers in that dressing room. He wants the people that are willing to go to those places and do those things that most people don't do, because that's what it takes. And that's where you need to go to come back from this injury, because it's something that not everybody can do. It's something that not everybody does well. And it's something that most people don't actually get the best of themselves afterwards. It's kind of going through the motions, waiting for it to get better, which I don't want you to do. I want you to play the active role and be the main instigator of your recovery. So this is where we're going with it. And I'm gonna tell you now, and I want you to think about it. Like, let me know who your favorite athletes, your best players of any sport, any era. Pick whoever you want, and I will tell you they are a stone cold killer. They will flip that switch, go to the dark side, get into that mental space where it doesn't matter who you are not stopping them. And I'm talking, you can go through Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Tiger Woods, Messi, Ronaldo, Roy Keane, Eric Cantona. I'm a Man United fan, so I'm going to pick them out now. You can go through those players, those athletes, those ballers, Usain Bolt, complete and utter blinkers on, dark side engaged, flip that switch, it's go time. That's where you need to be to overcome your injury and get out of it as quickly as possible in the strongest, most powerful physical state you possibly can. So if this video has helped you, if this information is useful, if you found it inspiring in some way, or it's pushed you onwards to make that next step, give it a little like, let me know, drop me a comment. If you need any further help with any of this or getting through it, drop me a message. I'm here, use me, or go and speak to a specialist in one of those key areas that you might need, and start the process now. Take the active role, take the control seat, and develop your own way back. All right. If you are injured, if you have kind of gone through a period of where you are suffering at the minute, I do hope you get back to fitness as soon as possible, and hopefully this helps you with that. So for now, take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys.